Did you know that there's actually a type of fat inside your body that you should genuinely appreciate instead of disliking? White fat is the kind we typically don't want. It shows up as a double chin, a muffin top, fat on your thighs, or fat on your buttocks. However, there's another type of fat in your body that we actually do want. This particular fat burns calories rather than storing them. Clinical studies have confirmed this. Certain foods can help trigger this calorie burning system, assisting you in slimming your waistline and eliminating visceral fat. The beneficial fat I'm referring to is called brown fat. For years, we've been taught to view fat as an enemy that we need to eliminate. But biologically speaking, not all fat is identical. In fact, our bodies contain different types of fat. We have white fat, we have brown fat, and we even have something called beige fat. These colors actually tell us what each fat type looks like when viewed under a microscope. So, let's begin with white fat. White fat is the kind we truly don't like. It's the double chin, the fat under your arm, the muffin top, the fat on your thighs, and the fat on your buttocks. White fat stores energy from the calories we consume. So when you eat a large amount of food, you're essentially building up storage. It's kind of like the fuel tank for our nutrition. The energy from what we eat gets stored in white fat. Some white fat is necessary because we want our fuel tanks to be full, powering us up throughout the day. But when you accumulate too much white fat, it builds up. And once it builds up excessively, it can become a real problem. Where does it pose a genuine threat to your health? Interestingly, it's not the fat you can see on the outside of your body. The most dangerous kind of excess harmful white fat is located deep inside you. It resides in the central cavity of your body, in your belly, surrounding your viscera and intestines, and it's called visceral fat. Visceral fat is a hazardous form of white fat. It's connected to metabolic disease, heart disease, and even more than 14 different types of cancer. So yes, we absolutely want to reduce excess fat, especially white fat, particularly visceral fat. Now, what about brown fat? Brown fat is completely different. Instead of storing energy from the food we eat, brown fat actually burns down energy. It burns down the fuel. Think of it like turning on a burner on your stovetop. You flip the switch, click, 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 whoosh, it fires up and starts drawing down stored energy, just like your stovetop draws gas from a storage tank outside your house. As it burns the fuel, you generate heat, and your body's energy use increases. In the body, when your brown fat activates, it essentially turns up your metabolism. And where does it get that energy from? It pulls fuel from your white fat, especially the visceral fat. So this is a battle of fat versus fat, brown fat versus white fat, good fat versus bad fat, right? And it really is a fight. Brown fat is actively combating the type of fat that can harm your metabolism. One kind, brown fat, can help your metabolism, while the other kind actually damages it. So you want to have and activate your brown fat. Let me go a bit deeper and explain what's inside brown fat. Brown fat isn't wiggly or jiggly. That's white fat, the stuff under your arm. Brown fat is actually wafer thin and not on the surface. You can't see it easily. It's pressed close to your muscle. And it's incredibly metabolically active, located deep inside your body. Where is brown fat found? On both sides of your neck, behind your breastbone, between your shoulder blades, and a small amount in your abdomen or belly. Why is it called brown fat? Because under a microscope, it actually looks brown. Brown fat is packed with mitochondria, the power packs of all cells. But in brown fat, it's densely packed with them. It burns fuel, generates energy, and produces heat, so it has a lot of mitochondria. Guess what? The mitochondria that produce energy in brown fat also contain a lot of iron. Iron oxidizes as brown fat fires up, just like anything made of iron. For example, a pile of nails left on your porch over the weekend. Eventually, those nails oxidize, rust, and turn brown. That's exactly what happens to the iron in the mitochondria, the power packs loaded into your brown fat, because they're actively burning fuel. That's why brown fat is called brown. It contains mitochondria with oxidized iron. What happens when you activate your brown fat? How does it actually burn fuel? When you trigger brown fat to start drawing down fuel, remember, it's like turning on the gas burner on your stove. Click, 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 whoosh. It pulls in energy, taking fuel from white fat, harmful fat, visceral fat, moving that fuel in and burning it up. And how does it burn? It uses that fuel to fire up the mitochondria. The mitochondria generate energy and produce heat. This process of generating heat by burning down fuel from excess body fat is called thermogenesis. Thermo means heat. Genesis means creation, heat, production. Let me pause for a second. White fat, the wiggly, jiggly stuff you don't want, stores the fuel and energy from the calories we eat. Brown fat draws from that stored fuel when you trigger it to burn it down. Again, your body is equipped with this system designed to burn energy from stored calories. Hi, I'm Dr. William Lee. Most people think that if their weight isn't changing, nothing is happening with their metabolism, but that's actually not true. And this is where many people get misled. Your body can become healthier, reduce harmful fat, and build muscle at the same time, even if the number on the scale stays the same. That's because not all fat is identical. One of the most important types of fat to understand is visceral fat. Visceral fat surrounds your internal organs and plays a major role in inflammation, poor metabolism, and increased disease risk. Higher levels of visceral fat are associated with cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, and even cancer. And most people have no idea what their visceral fat levels actually are. Here's the problem. You cannot track visceral fat with a regular weight scale. Two people can weigh exactly the same but have completely different levels of visceral fat and therefore very different health outcomes. You can lose weight without significantly reducing your visceral fat, and you can improve your metabolic health without major changes in body weight. That's why I emphasize focusing on your body composition, not just your body weight. This is where the HumePod comes in. It's a portable home body analyzer that uses the same bioelectrical impedance technology used in clinical settings with about 98% accuracy. It measures your entire body, not just below your waist. To use it, you step on the pod and pull up the handle. It's that easy. In the Hum app, you can track over 40 different metrics, including your visceral fat. Over time, you can actually see how your habits are impacting your long-term health. Because improving your health isn't about guessing, it's about understanding what your body actually needs. You can track real changes in your body composition and know if what you're doing is actually working, so you can catch those changes early, even before they show up on the scale. This is the approach I recommend for people who want a more precise, data-driven method to improve their metabolic health. You can learn more by clicking the link below. There's up to 50% off with my code drWilliamLee for the next 7 days. Food as medicine can be used to activate your brown fat. What's an example of this? I'll tell you, chili peppers, chili flakes, fresh chilies, dried chilies, chili sauce. That heat you feel when eating chilies comes from a bioactive natural chemical found in chili peppers called capsaicin, capsaicin, capsaicin. Why does it cause that zing in your mouth, that burning sensation? That chemical binds to receptors on your tongue. It's like a catcher's mitt waiting for capsaicin to activate it, and then it sends a signal from your tongue to your brain. You sense the zing, the burn, the heat, but from your brain, that signal, like a text message to your brain, sends down neurotransmitters that then activate your brown fat around your neck, behind your chest, and in all the places where brown fat exists. So if you enjoy spicy food, imagine this. Eating spicy food actually helps turn up your metabolism by burning down excess harmful body fat, all by turning on your brown fat. Before I go into the rest of these foods, if you're interested in using food to improve your metabolism and overall health, consider subscribing to my channel. This is where I share the science of food as medicine in ways you can actually apply in your everyday life. Now let's look at 4 of my favorite foods that activate brown fat. Starting my countdown now with food number 4, coffee. I drink coffee every morning. It wakes me up, gives me energy, and also helps my metabolism by activating my brown fat. How does it do this? Coffee contains caffeine, of course, but it also contains polyphenols like chlorogenic acid. Both caffeine and chlorogenic acid stimulate brown fat and trigger thermogenesis. They fire up the mitochondria. So drinking coffee helps burn down harmful excess visceral fat. We know this from clinical studies. In fact, one study of over 500 men and women in Indonesia looked at coffee and found that coffee consumption was associated with lower body fat and a smaller waist circumference. Remember, I told you that visceral fat is stuffed in the tube of your body. When you burn down visceral fat, your waist circumference shrinks. What's interesting is that this benefit was seen even with decaffeinated coffee. I mentioned that caffeine lights up brown fat, but there are other polyphenols as well. Even if you remove the caffeine, those other polyphenols still light up brown fat. So even decaf coffee can have metabolic benefits. Food number 3, white beans. Here's something you might not have expected. White beans, a very simple food, have a powerful effect on brown fat. I love beans. There are so many ways to cook with them. Beans are a great source of fiber, which is good for your gut microbiome, and we know protein is important. It turns out beans are also a good source of plant-based proteins. But studies have shown that eating beans can actually help reduce waist size by burning down visceral fat through activating brown fat. In fact, one study from the University of Toronto looked at adults who ate 5 cups of beans per week and found that it could reduce their waist size by about 1 inch over the course of a month. Waist size is a good marker of visceral fat. Beans are a great way to activate your gut, help promote muscle maintenance with protein, and now you can add fat fighting to the list of benefits of eating beans. Food number 2, onions. Onions are part of the allium family along with scallions, shallots, and garlic. They're a staple in traditional Mediterranean cuisine, healthy cuisine, and traditional Asian cuisine, another healthy cuisine. So what's inside an onion that's useful for burning down fat? A really powerful polyphenol called quercetin. It's found in onions, especially in the outer layers. Quercetin is anti-inflammatory, but it also activates brown fat. In fact, a clinical study from Korea looked at an onion extract derived from the outer layers of onions in people who had metabolic syndrome. That's prediabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood lipids, a large waistline, and high blood sugars. After 12 weeks of taking an extract from onions, specifically from the outer layers, the participants lost weight, reduced their waist size, again, burning down visceral fat, and improved their metabolic markers. The next time you're using onions and peeling off that papery outside, here's a pro tip. Try to save as much of that outer layer as possible. Don't just cut into it and throw away big chunks. Preserve that outer layer because a lot of the quercetin that activates your brown fat and can burn down harmful excess visceral fat is found in those outer layers. The inner layers have some too, but don't waste those outer layers. Save as much as you can. And finally, food number 1, tomatoes, one of my favorite foods. I always have tomatoes in my kitchen. I keep them on my counter. I never put them in the fridge, never put a tomato in the fridge, keep them on the counter. Tomatoes are amazing. They're rich in lycopene. Lycopene is an anti-inflammatory, anti-androgenic carotenoid. That means it lowers inflammation and starves cancer by cutting off its blood supply. This has been shown in both lab and clinical research. But interestingly, tomatoes also activate brown fat to support metabolism. In fact, one clinical study from Portugal gave young, healthy women just one ripe tomato to eat every single day, about an hour before lunch, for a month. And guess what they found? These women, just by eating one tomato daily, lost an average of 2.4 pounds over the month and had less body fat. By the way, eating the tomato also improved their blood cholesterol and blood sugar levels. Lycopene in tomatoes. How much lycopene does a single tomato have? For equivalence, a single tomato, like the women ate in that study, has about as much lycopene as 1 cup of tomato sauce or 1 heaping tablespoon of tomato paste. I'm telling you this because maybe you don't want to eat a whole tomato every single day, but you could swap it out with tomato sauce or use tomato paste in your cooking. So there are many, many ways to get tomatoes into your diet on an everyday basis to activate your brown fat. What's the takeaway? Here it is. Fat isn't something you should universally fear. We want to keep our fat healthy, and we want to love our brown fat. Remember, brown fat is part of our defense system, our metabolic system. It burns down white fat. Good fat versus bad fat. It's part of our system to burn energy and elevate our metabolism. So the next time you have that instinct to fight your own body fat, one simple way you might not have thought of before is simply to activate your body's natural system, activate the brown fat, and the foods you can eat: beans, tomatoes, onions, and drink some coffee. Super easy. If you want to learn more about how to use food to support your metabolism and how to eat to beat disease, please subscribe to my channel. And if you found this video helpful, share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next video. Dr. Lee out. Hey, if you like that video, then you're going to love this one. Check it out.